Yeah, yeah. We live now, right? Yeah. Here we go. Yeah. Thank you. All right, welcome to Tales from a Gemini's, BT. And we're gonna get right to it. My guest is waiting. I think he has babysitting duties. I don't know what he's got. But anyway, we're gonna get right to my guest. I'm so looking forward. Thank you for being for watching Tales from the Gemini. And well, let's sit him in. Here we go. Let's sit him in. Yeah, let's sit him in. Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait to see my boy. There he is. What's up?
It's cracking, man.
Oh my God, he's the pride of Whitewater, Wisconsin. He's the Black Chad Daniels, my man, Mr. Kevin Bozeman. What's up, brother?
How did I get the title of Black Chad Daniels?
I just made that shit up. I just did, man. I know you guys are friends. You know why? It's because, man, and to be honest, it's because you guys, you know, people in comedy, the average fan, they always look at the big comics, you know, the guys that come in like a Kevin Hart or whatever, the big names. So they don't realize the people that kick ass and not everybody knows. And I know you and Chad, you know, I don't care. I'll put myself in the mix just because we've grinded it out for I don't know how long, for the last at least 25 plus. So that's why, you know, I say that. And it's like, I feel, and I'm glad to see Chad getting the recognition, and also you. You know what I mean? I didn't want to start off so quick getting into it. I was going to ease into it, but fuck it. I said the Black Chad Daniels, and I'll stand on that. But still,
yeah, and then long as when you see him, you call him the White Kevin Bozeman.
I will do it.
Fair.
You got to be happy, man. The NBA draft is today.
Yeah, man. I think the NBA off season is the shit. It's like you know, it's like that you know, in those season ended cliffhangers.
Yeah.
Like they wrap up the season and then they put a cliffhanger for the following season. That's how I look at the NBA. Like the free agents, the trades, the draft, and it just gets you and it happens as soon as the NBA season is done. So it just gets you hyped for the NBA season. Yeah, I'm big NBA.
Well, I think every offseason, any sport worth its weight in gold, it should be like that. Every offseason, oh, you wait till next year. If your sport doesn't do that, something's wrong with your sport. I mean, especially a team sport, maybe like football, baseball, or basketball. Your sport should be that way. When the season ends, you go, oh, you just wait. We're gonna be number 4 in the draft. We're gonna pick up that dude, and if so and so comes back from injury, oh, we're gonna be this shit. Every sport should be. If not, then you know why even be in the sport?
Yeah, man, for sure. I think that's probably the biggest problem. With the NFL, don't have that problem, really, because the NFL can be anybody can win. Right?
NFL's week to week.
Right. No, and I'm talking about like going into the season, anybody can go in and shock you, and like maybe not the Jets or whatever, but if you put together some sort of competent team. But if you look on the other hand, you look at somebody like the Miami Dolphins that came out of nowhere, and they whooping ass. But in the NBA, it's really not like that. You see 4 or 5 teams that's like, all right, it's going to be between them. Where the NFL is not till they actually play. Yeah, you see what's going to happen.
I look at the NBA like this. It's whoever LeBron's playing, whoever team LeBron is on, and then about 3 or 4 other teams after that. That's the way I look at it. That's what I look at NBA.
Yeah, that's fair.
And the East is wide. And I'm not even, you know me, I'm not an NBA fan. I like quote unquote white shit, so I'm not really an NBA fan. But I will say this: in the East, it's wide open. It's wide open. I think the East is for the taking. In the West, I narrowed it down to 3 teams. Like whatever team.
Who's the 3?
Whatever team LeBron's on, I think for some reason people are sleeping on Golden State. They even mentioned Golden State. I say Golden State, and this is just the West. Golden State, man, I think if they can get a good free agent, I think Portland.
Portland?
Yeah.
All right, well, you had me with the first 2.
Okay. And I think the Clippers.
You threw a wild card out there, boy.
Hey man, I'm talking out of my ass. You know,
listen, you said the top 3. Like I wouldn't put Portland over the Clippers for sure. I wouldn't put Portland over Denver, and I'm not sure I would put Portland over Phoenix now.
With Chris Paul?
Yeah, man. Chris Paul is
underrated. At 35, he's still underrated.
Yeah, you know, all those dudes, everybody talk about LeBron James and how long he's been playing, but Chris Paul, LeBron James were teammates in McDonald's high school All-American game. They're the same age. Chris Paul just went 2 years of college and LeBron came out, but they're the same age, man. And Carmelo's a year older than him. So everybody talks about, like, you know, because Carmelo came out the same year that LeBron came out, except for Carmelo did 1 year of college. And he went that 1 year at Syracuse and they won. So all these cats are playing at a high level. It's just, you know, all this medicine and advanced science and everything. You saw, like, LeBron spends like $1 million a year on his body.
As well he should.
Russell Wilson, right, for sure.
Russell Wilson the same way.
The same way. It was just like, yo, man, I spent like $1 million a year trying to recover. And recovery and healing. So,
but you know what? That's why those dudes deserve the money. I mean, he's an owner's dream. Those guys are owners, because if you're gonna pay that guy that much money, you don't want to Adam Hainsworth.
Albert.
Albert Hainsworth. You know what I'm talking about? They gave him all that money and he ended up fucking it all away. Somebody like
Did your listeners know who you're talking about? Former defensive lineman for the Washington Redskins.
Yeah, and in Tennessee. Well, he played for Tennessee first, didn't he?
He played for Tennessee, and then he went to the Redskins with a whole bunch of money.
And didn't.
But they gave him money thinking he could play any scheme, but really he can only play one scheme. And they was like, oh shit, man, we thought you could do. He's like, nah, dog, this is what I did in Tennessee, and now y'all want me to do something else here. I can't do that, but I want my money. And they was like, man, dog, that's a lot of money for a one-trick pony. So nobody talks about that. That dude was like limited. He could play one way, and that was it.
But you know what, though? But if you pay somebody, like I said, LeBron, Chris Paul, and Russell Wilson, an owner's dream. You take that much money, you take, like I said, $1 million to keep your body in shape. Like LeBron, for what he's at his age, he's really never fallen off. He's never, until last year, this year, he had that growing injury, but he's never really fallen off. He takes care of his body.
Yeah, man. LeBron is a singular force and focus, and
a force of nature, a freak. He's also a freak too. I mean, you can say what you want about.
Good Lord.
Huh?
Good Lord, he is. Oh yeah, without a doubt.
I mean, you can say what you want about the advances in medicine and sport, and which is true with everything. You know, it's better than the old school where they played with the Chuck Taylors with no cushion on their shoes and all this stuff. And sometimes they smoke before a game or whatever. Yeah, it's different, but at the same time, he's a freak of nature because he's always been that way.
They all are. But you know, who else we ain't talking about? Tom Brady is 43
and looks better. Looks better, plays better. He's probably faster.
And think about all the tennis players. Remember, back in the day when Jimmy Connors came out of retirement and everybody was fired up because he was that old dude. He made that run in the Open.
I hated Jimmy. But yeah.
Right, but with that old dude. But he's at the age where they're at right now. And that's where they're playing. Like, remember, they was like, look how old he is and he's doing it. That's the age of these tennis players right now, and they're still Serena, Rafael, Federer.
Roger Federer.
They're all the age that Jimmy Connors was when he made that run, and he was considered old and well past his prime. And these dudes are still, and Serena are still considered like number 1, number 2 in the world, and they're at that age. So,
well, and I give more props.
It's not just. It's across the board. It's sports across the board.
Well, I give more props. Honestly, I have to give more props to Serena than any of them because she had a baby. We have no idea what that's like, but to have a baby and come back and still be at the top of your game, a fucking baby, and then you come. I mean, for men, it's just getting older. I mean, you still got to stay in shape. I mean, maybe you got family problems, whatever, but you ain't having a baby. You're not having a human being come out of you and then try to get back in shape. So I got to give Serena more props than any of them. Any woman who has a baby and comes back,
for sure.
Come on, man. And
for
so
sure.
yeah,
and then come back killing.
Yeah, the advances in medicine and all that. Yeah, I give them that credit, but more than anybody, I give Serena. And you know what? You said something.
For sure.
You said something that I agree with wholeheartedly. As much as I give props to Lance Armstrong, what a piece of shit of a person he is. And I saw you say that I think it was Chuck Johnson's podcast, and I go, yes. I mean, he's a great. I mean, they're all doping pretty much, but he's a piece. Like he almost did what you're supposed to do in a way. Is that if you know you're caught, you lie, and then you lie again, and then if you think you're caught, you lie some more, and then you point the finger at somebody else, and then you keep pointing the finger, so it goes that way, and you lie. You lie on your lie, and you stand on your lie.
Yeah, man, he just doubled down on
He
his
tripled down, and then tried to destroy people's lives.
Yeah,
That's
what made him. That's what made him a piece of shit to me.
You know what? I always wondered. I mean, I watched. Did you watch that documentary on ESPN, on 30 for 30?
Yeah.
I was watching his fiance. Like, how does she believe anything he fucking says? Like, if she asks him a question, like, "Here, where were you?" and he tells her,
I know,
like,
right?
Are you serious?
I know, right?
Why would I lie to you, baby? It's like, really? You lied to federal prosecutors with time hanging in the balance. And, what makes you think?
How do you ever trust somebody like that?
How would you? Yeah, I mean, to his fiance.
But listen, man, we're talking about there are people that's in love with people right now that's in prison and serving 10, 20 years in prison, and you'll be like, how is this possible? When you think about it like that, it's easy to date Lance Armstrong and believe him. When you see that people in prison and people are sending them cakes and love letters and shit.
And I can't get a date, and you going out with a murder on death row.
You going out with a murder on death. It's just something about him. It's in his eyes, the sincerity. I see something in him that no one else sees.
Or if they saw it, it was like for 3 seconds and they killed him. Yeah, exactly. Man, I love that shit, man. It's so fucking true. I mean, sometimes it's hard to respect somebody in a way who, I mean, they stand on it too. They'll go up with somebody in prison and like, well, he's a good man, and they'll argue with you up and down.
Mm-hmm. You see it happen in a political landscape. It's just like, what? How you not see what I don't see? Man. And it's just a whole bunch of excuses. Look, dude, we as people now, we don't know how to just be like, yeah, my bad, I was wrong. Exactly. We can't do that, right? We can't do that anymore. It's always something. There's nothing. We cannot, as people, just be like, yeah, my bad, I was wrong, I fucked up.
You know what? That's the thing about life. I mean, as a people, everybody, if you look at it, if you do say that, people are forgiving in the world. We always talk about second chances, unless you're Colin Kaepernick. We always talk about second chances, right? You say, like you said, my bad. And then all of a sudden, maybe you go through that little period and we forgive you eventually. But now it's like people stand on their lies and people still support them, knowing I mean, what don't they see that we see? Now I understand sometimes, like, okay, a different point of view, but I say that, but look at what Kevin Hart did. Kevin Hart said, "Hey, I messed up. That was a part of my life 7 or 8 years ago. I apologize," and they still raked him over the coals. So that's the exception.
Well, that's a different thing. Like. Black America, we don't get the apology leeway that most America do. So even if Kevin Hart apologized, that still ain't enough. You think about Michael Vick, lost $100 million contract and went to prison, and people were pissed that he got a job as an analyst at Fox News or Fox Sports, I should say.
Yeah, but he
he went to prison. He did his time. It's not like he got away with it. He lost his job. He has a $100 million contract. He went to prison. He paid his price, and people are still like, how does this guy have a job? You think about Terrell Owens. Like, Terrell Owens was like second in career everything behind Jerry Rice. And still, when it came to Hall of Fame, they were like, nah, we just don't like the way you acted, bro.
Exactly. It's
a different animal for us. Terrell Owens committed no crimes.
Exactly. Nothing. He was never in a police blotter. Nothing. You have nothing on him. And all it was an attitude, like every other player in the NFL. But all of a sudden, he was the bad seed. And it took him that long to get there. Yeah, so I understood where he was coming from.
Of course.
I understood where he was coming from.
I understood them. I actually didn't have a big problem with them sitting them out the first year, right? Okay.
Yeah.
But then the second year they was like, nope, you're still not in. I was like, all right, that's too much. And then that's when he was like, I ain't showing up to that.
Yeah.
And I got no problem with it. I mean, if you look at Colin Kaepernick, you want to know the thing that bothers me the most?
please tell me, because
about Colin Kaepernick.
I'm gonna
It's
tell
crazy.
You,
It's crazy. The thing that bothers me the most for the people that argue Colin Kaepernick is the argument that why is Colin Kaepernick the one that's speaking up? It's not like it's happening to him, and it bothers me because it's such. If you worked in a factory, right, and I always go back to like a hardworking factory thing to show my analogies. But if you worked in a factory and you were underpaid and overworked, and then the foreman stepped up for you and spoke on your behalf, isn't that the person that you want to speak up for your behalf?
Yes.
Someone with power, someone with say-so, someone who's got something to lose, even though they didn't have to risk it at all.
Yes.
That's exactly who everyone would want. So when you were telling me that Colin Kaepernick should not be doing it, it's just you trying to come up with some sort of reason to just admit that this conversation that Colin Kaepernick wants to have is making you way too uncomfortable, and you don't want to admit it. So you will come up with every piece of shit reason besides the real reason of you don't want to have the conversation.
And if you look at it, he's doing exactly what America's supposed to represent: democracy and stand up for your rights and the freedoms. You know, that's what it is, a freedom to protest and a peaceful and to be honest, man, they know. I mean, they're playing stupid. They know. I mean, nobody's that stupid. Nobody.
They don't want to have this conversation.
They never do. They never do.
No, because you know why? I tell people this all the time. And like, I got a shit ton of white Republican friends, and then look, I go, y'all, a lot of y'all want to act like y'all about that life. Y'all want to love the black culture, love the black athlete, love the black female, love everything when it comes down to it. Got your Jordan, LeBron James, Tiger Woods posters on the wall. But when it comes time to step up and be there for us, man. How many white chicks you knew growing up smashed black dudes, and when it came time to get married, they was like, I'm gonna take this white dude.
but you know what? But you know
how many times when they were just like, I'm just going. That was fun. That was a fun time in my life.
That was great. Thank you so much.
But it's time for me to be white. It's a good run.
I got a trust fund.
I'll always have fond memories, but
I got a trust fund to get to. I'm very sorry, Jamal.
Right. This guy will get advancement in his workplace. You, for whatever reason, will not, and so therefore, I am securing my family, and it's time to be white again.
I will bid you adieu. And that's what it is. Right. Hey, but you know what though? In their defense, I mean, if the black dudes they were smashing were kind of iffy at best, I mean, yeah.
Sure.
Hey, you know,
everyone, but that's across the board. Listen, how many? What is that? 1% of it's got to be less than 1% of people that you meet your first love that you end up staying with.
Yeah.
Our relationships, a lot of times it's on you because you're not developed enough to be in a long relationship. Like everybody always points out, be like, oh, this person was fucking up. And then that person needs to own it. But what about your fuck ups? Like I tell people all the time that marriage should be like the presidency. You shouldn't be allowed to get married till you're 35.
I said, here's my thing. I said 25. And before you do it, the government gives you $5,000 and you have to go to Las Vegas for a weekend. Yeah, you got to go to Las Vegas for a weekend. They give you $5,000. If you lose it, that's on you. But the government gives you $5,000. You go to Las Vegas for a weekend and you come back. And if you still want to get married, that's on you. But I say 25.
Man, we struggling to get $1,200 pandemic checks, and you giving out a willy-nilly $5K just in case to see if you marriage material. Hey, boy, you got an ambitious America, homie.
Hey, let me tell you something. I remember growing up.
An ambitious America.
I remember growing up, and this is why I left Oklahoma. This is why I wanted to leave Oklahoma. I wanted to leave anyway growing up, but I remember working at a plant in the summertime, and this dude was like, he was 18, 19. I think 18. And he goes, I go, man, why are you getting married? He goes, well, my girlfriend put whipped cream on my pecker, and no one's ever done that before, and that's why I'm going to get married. And I swear to God, he said it like that, and I go, okay. And I go, I got to get the fuck out of here. And I
get the fuck out, right?
Yeah, and that was in a plant.
That's because you know why? Because he is giving you a viewpoint from an ugly person. Right? No, it's true. Listen, it's true. You are a good-looking dude. You have options. Somebody put whipped cream on your pecker, that just comes with being BT. But that dude, that ain't that dude. That ain't that dude. So sometimes you have to also look at your life and see the value in it and where it's gonna go. And if you already maxed out, like if that dude is like, this is where I'm gonna be at the factory, I'm not gonna get any better. So this is me. But if you can visualize yourself, and as much as people get on Kanye back in the day was like, I'm gonna marry Kim Kardashian. Before she even knew who he was like, I'm gonna marry Kim Kardashian. And sure enough, he married her. Like, cause he projected like outwards. And when you got that kind of foresight, then that's great. But some people,
I said that shit about Mary Lou Retton when I was a kid, and that didn't work out for me. When she won that in '84, when I saw Mary Lou Retton, I was like, oh my God, I'm in love with this girl. And I was like, I'm gonna marry Mary Lou Retton. And that didn't happen.
Well, I mean, it's still time.
I don't marry some old ass gymnast. She's about my age. I don't want some old beat up ass gymnast. I mean, I don't know what she looks like.
See, now we're getting to the heart of the matter here. Your shallowness is what's holding you back. How about that? How about you looking at that?
Hey, I've always been shallow, but I mean, I think I'm getting better. I think I'm getting better. I think, Of course. I mean,
I think. Listen, the key to happiness, and it's always been the key to happiness, and will always be the key to happiness, is self-love.
Oh yeah.
You right? No, but but so many people get in relationships because they don't love themselves and they expect that person to provide all the love for them. Like, you ever hear those, you taught me how to love? Get the fuck out of here. Shut your dumb face. Without you, I was lost. I was lost in the darkness, in the shadows of hell, and you brought me out. Shut the.
You taught me so much.
You're supposed to be like, yo, I was out killing it. Thank you for coming on board and helping me continue to kill it. That's when you should get married. If you're out killing it, like, how are you going to go and support a relationship if you can't self-support yourself? And I'm not even talking financially. I'm just talking about being good and waking up and liking who you are. Why would you expect? It's the same thing I tell comics that's starting out. Like, why, if you don't think the joke is funny, why do you expect someone else to think it's funny? You have to like your material first. Because a lot of times people just write these jokes and they pull all these trigger words and they come up with a topic that they think is trendy, but they don't necessarily think it's funny. It's just some generic, right? It's just some generic formula that they're creating. Like, you gotta believe that it's funny. And it's the same thing in the relationship. You gotta love yourself before you expect someone else to love you.
It's funny you say, 'cause I remember being in a comedy competition, and I remember there was about 4 white guys in a row. They're all chubby, all had flannel, all had the round rim glasses and beards, and they went one after another. And I'm like, wow. I mean, it was like an assembly line of the same comic. And they're saying jokes they don't believe in. They're just saying, like, hey, who's an atheist out there? Like, really, guys? I mean, I hear what you're saying, but also when it comes to relationships, I just think you got to go. And I was talking to Wyatt. Wyatt's my producer, and I call him White Wyatt because Wyatt's like 19. For some reason, I get along good with like lesbians and white guys that are like 19 years old. For some reason, and my producer's like 19 years old.
Cool. That's a weird fun fact.
But it's the truth. I don't know why. And I told Wyatt, I said, you got to be like, at least for me, you got to be like, okay, like that's the person you want. And I think a lot of relationships don't work because you're not really with the person you want. I mean, people are lonely, and I get that. You're lonely. So you kind of pick somebody like, okay, they're not really what I really wanted, but I'm not gonna be lonely. And so you go, okay, and you kind of fake through things, and that's why I think people have arguments. I mean, like knock down dry arguments because somebody has that power in a relationship. Like say a girl like knows that you really like her, and you do everything you want for her, and you know you're not bad, but she can't get to do what she wants, and she knows that hey, you know that you'll treat her right, so she goes, okay, fuck it, I'll marry this dude or whatever. So she's always gonna have the power over you, and she'll always argue with it. Maybe if you're late, where were you? And she'll always be on your ass. But if you were the dude she really wanted, I don't think it'd be that way. I think it'd be more smooth sailing than if you went out with somebody who you didn't really want, but you kind of settled. And I always say if you settle, and I told Wyatt this yesterday, I said if you settle, here's what happens. You go, okay, fuck it. I'm gonna marry this person because I'm getting, you know, I'm older, blah blah. It's kind of cool, you know. We kind of get along. So the last thing you do as a free person, you stop in. Say you stop in a 7-Eleven and you get a Slurpee, and you go in and you turn around like, oh shit. And the girl you physically wanted is standing right in front of you like, oh shit. And she looks at you like, oh shit. And y'all start talking and vibing. And she's saying all the shit like, oh yeah. And you're saying all the shit. She's like, yeah. And she goes, hey, you want to go spend some time together today? And you go, I can't. I'm going to get married. And that's what I feel like. That's what, if you settle, that's what happens. So unless
this happened at a 7-Eleven while getting a Slurpee.
But that's what you do. That's what you do. Your last thing is a free person. You go get a Slurpee. I mean, that's what you do. You get a Slurpee, man. I mean, that's the way I look at it. I mean, that's what you do. You stop, you get that Slurpee.
You met the love of your life at a 7-Eleven.
Listen, man, I grew up in Oklahoma, man. I set my goals medium high. I don't.
That is too funny.
But it's the truth, though. That last thing you do as a free man, you get a Slurpee and you turn around and bam, dream girl is there, and you go fuck, and you walk down the aisle like, the fuck am I doing? You know, that's why
I hear you.
That's why
of course I hear you.
No, you don't. You just saying that.
No, I totally hear you. I think it's a weird story. This is fresh out of a 1980s movie. But yeah, I hear you. This is yeah, it's great. It's a Rob Lowe flick, but there, I dig it.
You know, I was gonna ask you before we got on a little tangent. I was gonna ask you, and it was so funny because we started a little bit about Colin Kaepernick. And I don't know, you used to have your Kaepernick jersey in the corner. Where is it? Did you take it down?
No, I do have it. I do have it. It's right there. It's just not hanging up.
Okay. Now
I got it. Like it's right off to the side there. But yeah. I'm redoing this room a little bit. You can see this is a giant love bag that my son had. I'm about to sell this, and
love bag. It's a love bag.
It's like a love bean bag. It's a huge. It's too
a bean
big
bag. And you talking about me being in the 80s? You talking about me being in the 80s? A bean bag. That's straight 70s.
No. Okay, for one, it's my son. It was his idea. He wanted it. It's too big for his room.
Okay.
And I mean, look. It's massive. That's not a bean bag. That's a love bag. Is what they call it. A love chair or something like that. I don't know, but it's too big for his room, so we're selling it. And then
how do you wash that? Like, how do you clean that?
The cover comes off and then you wash it.
Oh, like a duvet?
Throw it in the washer. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Exactly.
Okay. Well, back to I want to get on the cap. Now, do you look at the NFL the same way, or whatever? Because I personally, I never could. After the way they treated him, and I know Jerry Jones was behind all that shit. I still cannot get with the NFL to this day. Like, I'll glance in and see what's going on. But it's just, and then they have the nerve to do commercials about, you know, social justice and all this stuff. And I go, well, shouldn't Kaepernick be in these commercials? Because he's the reason for those commercials. So, I mean, do you look at the NFL the same way?
Yeah. I mean, I look at America the same way. So
have you always, or has it changed? But have you always, or has it changed?
So that's a great question. Here's probably my answer. My answer is probably it's just something that I've always known, but never really had the conversation with myself about it. It's just something that I knew that America is fuck. If you look at everything across the board, like you and me as stand-up and how we're judged as comics, like there's been times I've had incidents with club bookers that rules apply to me that didn't apply to other people that was on the show.
Okay,
so
like what? Like what?
If that's,
give me an example.
Just one time I was doing a comedy club, and I was co-headlining with a comic, and white dude, and he went first, and he's killing, right? He's doing great, but he was so dirty, like over the top dirty. And then he got done, and then the owner is cracking up, laughing, just dying. And then when he gets done, he says to me, he's like, "Hey, make sure you keep it clean. We got a lot of older couples in here." And I was like, "What the
Are you
What are we
serious?
talking about?" Like, it's just one of those things where I, like, my material for whatever reason was judged differently. If I said something that came out of my mouth that was blue or offensive or whatever, it was judged differently than my white counterpart. But that's just like a basic example of how America is different for us than it is for others. And so, yeah, Colin Kaepernick, same thing. When we get pulled over, same thing. And the advancements in jobs, same thing. It's the world you live in. That being said, as far as football, I gamble. So I watch, I gamble, dude.
You
I
can separate
gamble.
your head from your heart, basically. What you
I gamble. So I look at football as a chance for me to make money. I don't look at it as I'm a Bears fan, but I don't lose sleep over like I used to when I was a kid. When they would lose, I would take that shit to bed with me.
Yeah, man. It hits you in your heart.
So that's where probably the biggest difference is. It's like, I still watch it for its entertainment value, but I'm not rocking. The only jersey I would rock is a Kaepernick jersey now. Like, I don't rock jerseys and shit like that. I root for my team, but when they lose, like, that shit don't sting.
And that's what I'm having a hard. And honestly, that's what I'm having a hard. The last 4 years, I'm having a hard time trying to get in the right mental state to get through this life.
Yeah,
because
for sure.
Because what happened to him, and then you see what happened with that, with the election and pumpkin pussy neck running the country and what he's doing, and honestly, it just put me in. And I saw what he was doing and the lies. Well, it's about the economy, and I know it's not, and I know what it was about, and I hate the fucking lie. And honestly, it was the hardest thing in the world to go up to an audience during that period. Because I looked out and all I saw was him or his support, and I've had the hardest time the last 4 years, man, trying to get the right mental state. I really have. I mean, I just
know, man, and then especially when you see that over 70 million people, it's like, yup.
I mean, you said
that's how many people.
Yeah, you said it best before. I mean, and I still feel the same. And now what he's doing, and I see what he's doing, because like I always say, I used to lie a lot. So a liar knows another liar. Like we used to say, game recognized game. So right. I know a lie when I see a liar, and exactly, and he's doing everything you're supposed to do to set it up. Like, they're cheating me, and like, whatever. And I see what's going on and how people. Well, it's like the land of the zombies, man. Whatever he says, they follow. And I'm just going.
I know, and people won't go. People won't just say, "Yeah, Doc, I voted for you, but you lost. Stop being a piece of shit."
Okay, now
they won't do that.
But here's the thing. In a way, I can see how the white people voted for. Okay, in a way, it's like, okay, par for the course. But what really irks me is when you see the black people that voted for him, which, by the way, they can't. It's it's America, freedom, whatever. I say, but it's not the fact they voted for him so much. It's the fact they take up for him and they just drive home the fact, oh, this guy he's not what you think. And that when
you live in Oklahoma, how do you not know? Like this about black people, because there's a large, I would think, like the Candace Owens of the world, there's a large segment of the black population, not majority, but enough people where they think that there is no racism, there is no inequality. The reasons, all the problems that black people are having is put on either upon ourselves or the Democratic Party is shrouding us. So Trump represents to them exactly what they want. Like, he is a representative of how they feel about the black community. And then there's another group of black people that's been so disenfranchised with politics and so out of the loop with politics. All they saw was a stimulus check that came out of nowhere. And it was like, great, if he gonna put money in my pocket, or look, the economy is thriving and I'm working instead of going, you are working, but what you don't realize is that you ain't making the money that your counterpart is making, and you will never be considered for advancement.
Yeah.
You are stuck there, but they don't see that. They're so caught up in the living of day to day that's what they see. And also, I agree with what Obama said, like, you know, that hip hop culture, like that's what it is about Trump, making money, fuck people, get yours. There it is.
It's almost,
and so there's that group of people, but I think the heart of the Black people that came out showed where we stand collectively toward him.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I feel the same, but I also feel with the Candace Owens. I always feel women's point of view on anything is always a little different because they.
Yeah, but what about those twins that I don't know their names.
The weightlifting dudes who do
the twin
comedy?
Dudes the twin dudes that support Trump, the twin Black dudes.
The Lucas
no,
brothers?
There's two Black dudes they're conservatives. I don't even know.
Wait, but they do comedy, right?
I don't know if they do comedy. I don't know if they do comedy.
I think they're kind of yoked up. They're like bodybuilding dudes.
Maybe.
Yeah, I've seen those dudes. Man, fuck those dudes. I mean, I kind of get mad. No, here it is. I kind of get mad because, and you know me, man, and we've had this discussion before, and I talk about it all the time. I know my weaknesses. Like I know, like I said, and the funniest thing you've ever said, we've talked. Remember, I was like, I go, man, why can't, you know, why don't Black audiences like me? And you said, because you talk about Pearl Jam. And I had to laugh. And I mean, that was one of the greatest, but it's the truth. I mean, I know who I am. Yeah, I do a lot of quote unquote white shit. Like I love rock and roll. I mean, I love all music, but you know, rock and roll and motorcycles are my thing, and motorcycle racing and Formula One. And I like a lot of white shit, but at the same time, it's weird because
you're still Black.
Yeah, exactly. And it's almost and no matter how, you know, white people think I am or whatever, but there's never been a time where I thought, hey, I'm different. I mean, I mean, no matter what, I know deep inside, you know, like after everything is all said and done, if I disagree with them on a certain point, then what I am. You know what I mean? So I've always known that. I've always known that. So like I told my buddy, I said, you take away like the motorcycle racing and the white girls and the rock and roll. Hey man, I'm like Malcolm X. I'm like Malcolm X light. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. That's you. That's fair.
So I know, but that's what makes me so mad. It's like, but like I said, man, in a way, it's like, okay, you have the freedom to do that, and I've been called sellout because of what I did or whatever, and rightfully so. They didn't really know me.
What do you mean? Who called you a sellout?
Oh my God, growing up, that's all I heard growing up because okay, you understand? You grew up in the 70s and 80s in Oklahoma, and you know, and you grew up like. And my neighborhood was, you know, predominantly Black. We had white people like maybe 3 blocks down, and you know we got along and everything. But at the same time, you know, 70s, 80s, that's a different time, and the battle lines were drawn. So here I am, you know, got white friends, whatever, and they're looking at me like this motherfucker, you know, I've been called Oreo and sellout. You know, you ain't no motherfucking white boy, you know, and I got it. And I understood that. I mean, I've always said, if I was a street dude,
you sit there with your scone and latte, I get it.
No, hey, let me off the subject. Hey,
I get where you guys are coming from.
Hey, off topic. I was on stage a couple like last month in El Paso, and it's me and some brother. He's like brother. We were going at it, and he was like, how real he was. He go, man, I ain't never been to Starbucks. I go, God damn. I mean, that was his way of saying he was street. He goes, I ain't never been to Starbucks. I go, but like I said, I get that shit. If you're from the hood or whatever, you saw me, I get why you wouldn't like me, and I understand that. I mean, I respect them, but but look, for them looking at me, I get it. You know what I mean? That's why I go out of my way to say hi to them or try to have a conversation with them. I get that. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I always known who I was collectively. I always known who I was and where I navigate. You know what I mean?
Right.
I've always known that. Always. I wasn't blinded by that fact. I mean, there's always little examples let me know how Black I really was, like a white girl's parents. You know, the way cops did that U-turn and, you know, and the line of questioning and stuff like that. Like, all right, man. Okay. You know.
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, you know, we're in this together.
That's the game. That's the game, man.
But that's why that's why mentally.
What's funny is Chuck D from Public Enemy is, you know, is the man. But when he talks about music, he's like, man, I don't fuck around with that R&B shit. I'm more heavy metal. And nobody says anything to Chuck D about that.
Well,
I'm
right?
Glad. Chuck D is heavy metal. Chuck D is more likely to have your music playing than any other black person's music playing. And who gonna tell Chuck D that he'll sell out?
And you know, and the thing about, I love that because Anthrax did a song. He did a song with Anthrax back in the day. Nobody really talked about, and I loved it. And that's why when it came to rap, that's why Run DMC was always my favorite, because Rock Box changed my fucking world. Because, you know, growing up with the rock and roll, and people gave me all the shit. And then luckily my brother, I always had the best of both worlds. Because my brother listened to, you know, hip hop and house and my parents were, you know, old school R&B, 70s R&B. But my brother brought home Rock Box, and I heard that, I go, that's what the fuck I'm talking about right there, because they had the you know, the guitar solo, and then that, but the beat down 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 down. So it was like it was the best of both worlds, and that's why Run DMC always had a great place in my heart, man. And I fucking love that, and that's why I connected with them. Like, oh, they got rock and roll, but they're rap at the same time, and they try to.
Yeah, they was. It's tricky. It has a lot of
every Run DMC song.
Obviously,
King of Rock. King of Rock, I'm the king. Yeah. Oh, I mean, that's a rock and roll song, basically. What they did, I fucking love. Run DMC, man, hit me hard, bro. And I went to go see them in concert, and they're great in concert. I mean, I went to go see them, but they had Public Enemy open up for them, and that changed my fucking life, because I didn't know anything about Public Enemy, and I'm sitting there all of a sudden here, I go, what the fuck? Is it a tornado? And they came out, and I was like, dude, I love these guys. So those two shits right there changed my fucking life on how I looked at everything. And then I got deep into, I mean, I don't know if you knew about, but then I started getting, oh shit. So I read Malcolm X, the autobiography of Malcolm X. That changed my life too, because, you know, as long as we've been doing this shit, and you know how we do our shit. And so, you know, you're on the road, you know, I have a suspended license or whatever, so, you know, whatever. Or maybe you're driving someplace. This is back in the day before there's Google Maps or whatever, when you literally had to have the map here, and you put the light on while you're driving. You know, you had to do that shit. So, from autobiography of Malcolm X, I knew how to talk to a cop without getting a ticket, because if a cop saw me in a neighborhood I wasn't supposed to be in, right? Yeah. I said, he's behind me. I would stop the car and get out and go, officer, I'm so lost. Could you tell me how to get the blah, blah, blah? And he go, oh, yeah, you want to go? Thank you so much, buddy. I appreciate it. And I mean, and that's what Malcolm X would do also, because when he would get pulled over, I mean, he would stop and he, you know, initiate like, excuse me, officer, as you could tell, I'm lost. You know, maybe get a little giggle out of the cop, and I'm so sorry, blah, blah, blah. And the cop, instead of like giving you like a hard time, you go, oh, this guy is really lost. He's not really looking to, you know, rob anybody. So that always helped me when I had a suspended license. I went about, man, I went about maybe 10, 15 years, man, driving like that. I've only got my shit together maybe in the last, and I can't really say it's together, but the last maybe 5 years, it's the only time I've consistently had a valid driver's license and insurance and paid car insurance in the last by 6 years.
I mean, baby steps.
Hey, Operation Baby Steps. That's what it is, man. I mean, that's what. But you know what? But that's why I want to talk to you about, because honestly, it's like we kind of grew up together in a way, doing comedy in a way, where we always knew about Boze, and people don't understand how hard this shit is. And I call it the stripper syndrome, because I don't know about you, when you first start out, it's so much fucking fun. You're traveling, you know, one-nighters are fun. You know, you're doing your thing, you know, after the show. I mean, it was a fun thing. It was all about fun, and you're doing your thing. And then, you know, but you should set your goals. So all of a sudden, you know, everything's all fun and games. All of a sudden, you wake up one day like, oh, fuck, no one's getting these table dances. You know, how come, you know, I'm sitting here going, how come no one's coming to this table? How I don't have the heat like this girl here had? And that's what doing comedy does. And the fact that we're still in it, and that's what Boze respect, because you come to the comedy clubs now. Like when you came here to Helium, I went to see you. I'm like, fucking that, you're still doing it, still writing, still. And I always want to ask you this. As a comic, you understand what I'm trying to say. Like, has it ever bothered you that you're not a household name, or that you're not bigger than what you are?
Oh God, no. Listen, it's a few things. One, as I said, we don't get the same opportunities as other people have. And I've had opportunities that I squandered.
Yeah.
So
like example. Like,
just like, you know, when I did some TV stuff and people was interested in me, but I wasn't really writing. Like, I had a set and I was just about what you said, just going out and performing and having a good time, but not taking the craft seriously.
Yes.
When there was people that was genuinely interested in me, and I should have been doing what I do now. But you know, man, like I was out in New York for a minute, and I still go to New York and LA just to make sure that like I'm still doing the right thing. But the degree of success, it just like I always say, your success is depend on how happy you are, not like what you got and what other people didn't have. Because part of that is like, you know, a lottery experience. You got to be a little lucky, and regardless of what people say about Kevin Hart and Amy Schumer, no one outworks them.
No one outworks Kevin. I mean,
no one. Amy Schumer too. Before she had the baby and stuff, those two people, they did all of those things. She had her show. She was doing stand-up everywhere. She was always writing. She's movies. She was covering all of it. Same thing with Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart was doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Performing all the time. TV show. Kevin Hart didn't have to do TV.
Dude, let me tell you something. His show was underrated. The one on BET, the
Real Housebands of
Hollywood. That show was incredibly funny, and no one talked about it. That show was great.
And so they outworked each other. So I factor in all the things like, could I be a little bit further along? For sure, but I mean, I'm not in a bad spot by any means. No, you're not in a bad spot,
but does it needle you? Does it, I mean, at the end of the day, does it a little bit, does it needle you a little bit? Like when you see, and no names, but you ever see a
only because I'm competitive, but only because I'm a competitive person do I see myself going, I should be here as opposed to there. But all of that being said, like I always say when I go to LA and New York, it doesn't matter where I'm going. I'm like, give me the mic. Yeah. Like I always love, like, give me the mic. And a lot of times too, like, I don't know how often you still go to LA and New York perform, but a lot of times, man, you know, a lot of these clubs and stuff, they're pretty cool with me. You know, they give me like the spots, like, that, you know, you would think that you would get, or be it like closing out the show or making sure you got a prime spot. So it's all good, man. It's all gravy. I mean, I should be further ahead, but like I said, I'm not in a bad spot either. So,
but what were your goals though? I mean, because I think that was a big, to me, that I wish somebody would have put it. Who's to say that I would have listened? Cause you know how you are when you're younger, in your 20s, whatever, and you're killing it out there. You know, I would listen. But go ahead.
My friend Pat McGann, who opens up for Sebastian, super funny. I always say, like, all stand-up should follow his motto. Like, he was at Zanies and hosting and just building the sets. Then he wrote and like small sets to get on TV, and he got on national TV, Letterman a couple of times, and I believe he did Colbert. Mm-hmm. And then he went on tour with Sebastian. He found a dude and they put him in front of a lot of people. Yeah. And now he's on the cusp of being a star himself, but he went about it the right way, where I was just like doing it just to see if I could do it. I never thought it was going to be a career. And then when they started paying me for it, I was like, what? Like getting paid where like it was like my job, but I never sat down and was like, I'm going to be a TV star. I'm going to be a movie star. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I was like, I'm doing stand-up and I'm getting paid for it. Yay.
Yeah.
I want to keep getting paid for it. And that was it.
But the blueprint, it's changed though. Also, the landscape has also changed. Also, but at the time, I just wish I would have had somebody would have put me aside and said, "Here's what you got to do to get here. This is where you want to go to get here." But I say that.
But that's part of that though. Part of that though is here, which brings us right back to society again. Black people are left to fight for scraps. Yeah. So we're left to fight. We know. So like when I auditioned for Last Comic Standing, like I know I'm not auditioning for the last 10 spots of Last Comic Standing. I'm kind of auditioning for 2 spots. right? Because there ain't no way if the 10 funniest people on the show are black, they're not gonna have the 10. They're not gonna have an all black show.
No, you crazy,
right? But I know that they want to have 1 to 2 black dudes, so I know that I have to fight for those 2 spots. My point is, it's like we know that we're all scrapping against each other, so therefore it is in our nature to not uplift because we view each other as threats. So that's why you and I never got the pep talk, where for one, there wasn't many black comics on the mainstream circuit that would take us under the wings.
Yes.
And the ones that did do it wasn't they didn't have anybody to take them under their wing. So it's just like you got to start that. Like if you're gonna do that, you have to start that process with if you see a young black comic, you got to take them and be like, this is what you need to do. That's the only way it starts.
Yeah, that's what and that's what I try to do when I get the chance or the power to do it. I definitely do it, and I take that page from you. I mean, no one understands, man. No one understands life, and from a perspective that you do, like you, nobody. I mean, in the game that I know of to this day, comic I can sit down and talk to. I mean, a comic I can sit down and talk to. Nobody gets it like you do. I mean, we've had conversations where, like, you know, I remember like you had me on your Thanksgiving show, you know, your Thanksgiving Eve show, and I said, thanks, man. You go, hey, man, you know, if I don't watch out for you, who will? If I don't watch out for my people, who will? And you know, the other things you said to me, I mean, nobody, you nail it every fucking time to the point I go, yeah. I mean, it's like what you just said. It makes sense because I remember the way she said it at the time, my manager, the way she said it when I was in LA and I was feeling myself and I felt like it's about to happen. So when I didn't get it, you know, Alonzo Bowden would get something. And I remember my manager's like, hey, they like this Alonzo guy. So, and I don't know if she did it on purpose, but the way she was kind of saying it, and maybe it's the way I interpreted it, was that we were in competition with each other. So I built up an animosity toward him, like, man, fuck this guy Alonzo. And so I was like, man, fuck. And I had an animosity. And so when I met him for the first time, he was so cool and so like, hey, what's up, BT? And I was like, I will never, ever, ever let that happen again.
Right.
You know,
but did you see that the ESPN where they broke off with Jamel Hill and who's the one that used to host the First Take? The black girl.
Jamel Hill and no, I didn't see that. I didn't see that though.
But anyway, they have their own like little podcasts and stuff, and they talk about like, you know, how it's made to be like they're pitted against each other.
Yes.
When they're like, no, like we are looking out for each other, because it was either one or the other would get the spot, and it was made to seem like she beat you out.
Yes.
But in reality, it was just like, you could have just put us both on if you really liked us. But you have even these super places that scream liberalism still has properties in place where they make sure that there's a hierarchy for us, that we fight for scraps.
Well, personally, I think that's why they let Max shine or have the black point of view and let Stephen A. Because I don't know if Stephen A. believes what he says or whatever when he says we talked about Kaepernick or whatever. Because I watched something where Corey Holcomb said how he met Stephen A. on the street, and he talked to him and goes, okay, it makes sense now. But you know, I think they let Max have that point of view because he ain't gonna get in trouble. How he's gonna get in trouble for calling out the establishment, and he's part of the establishment. Are they gonna fire him for having a point of view like that? You know what I mean? So, but Stephen A., then he's gonna be more in trouble. So Stephen A. he has to have a point of view. He almost has to be on their side in a way. How he's coming off. There you are.
Yo, we back.
Yeah, we back. What's up, bro? Okay.
I know. You know, I only got like 2 minutes left because I gotta go and do this other. I gotta do another thing. I told you. I had an hour.
I know, man. Hey, I just want to appreciate, man. For the bottom of my heart, I appreciate you doing this for me because, man, I still look up to you, bro. And
of course, man.
But I was texting you like, hey, we'll be on the what podcast? You were so matter of fact. I was like, does he really want to fucking do this? So man. Yeah. For the bottom of my heart, man, you've been an inspiration to me. And I mean this bottom of my heart. Inspiration to me in everything. Because, you know, when comedy's like this, the business like this, and you've always been there, like, okay, and then your advice is fucking aces, man. So thank you. I mean it, dude.
Oh, thank you,
Seriously,
man.
I'm gonna be all fucking
You,
lovey-dovey and shit, but I want to say thanks for that being an inspiration.
We go way back, homeboy. Love you.
And I mean it from bottom of my heart. And if you guys want to know anything about Big Kevin Bozeman, go to his website. He also has a podcast called the Ball Hog Podcast. Please check it out. And he gives gambling advice, talks about sports and everything else. And goddamn, man, just one of the best comics around that's underrated, man. So thanks, Kevin. I appreciate you, bro.
All right, homeboy. Let's do it again.
Definitely, man. Definitely. We didn't get half the stuff I want to talk about, so we definitely will, man.
I know,
for sure. Bro.
For sure.
Thanks, man.
All right.
Appreciate you, brother.
Deuces.
Yeah.
Yep, deuces.
God damn. And I mean it from the bottom of my heart. I love that guy. One of the greatest comics. I really mean that. One of the greatest comics ever. If you ever see Kevin Bozeman, please go get him. Go watch him. How great was that, man? I mean it from the bottom of my heart. I've known that guy for over 25 years. And we started out, bam, we hit the ground running, did we not? We literally hit the ground running. And we didn't stop, and it was seamless. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Please hit me up. Give me some criticism or tell me how much you like it. Whatever. I can take it. So thank you guys for watching on Tales from the Gemini. Because of you people, I'm enjoying the hell out of my life. I appreciate you. And like I say about this time, you know what I say. Bye.